Welcome to MMA Math 101, where sometimes 2 plus 2 equals you lost, bro. Today's lesson, how dominant performances can turn into losses, and how scraping by can turn into a win. We're about to dive into scoring decisions so wild, you'll think the judges were watching a completely different fight. Get ready for some real head-scratchers in MMA's most controversial decisions. Think you've seen questionable judging? Wait until you hear about the night fans were ready to storm the cage at UFC 305. The Jairzinho Rozenstruik vs. Tuivasa fight is going to blow your mind. Rozenstruik, the heavy-handed striker from Suriname, dominated the fight. He landed nearly 3 times more strikes than Tuivasa and controlled the action from start to finish. A clear-cut decision in the making. But when Bruce Buffer stepped into the octagon, everything changed. "We have a split decision," he announced, and the arena's energy flipped like a giant switch. Then came the real shocker. Judge Howie Booth's scorecard read 30-27 for Tuivasa. That's right, he somehow thought that Tuivasa won all 3 rounds. The arena erupted. Fans unleashed a storm of outrage that echoed through the arena. Social media exploded. Fighters and commentators went ballistic. Pros were tweeting that Booth's scorecard was criminal, while others demanded answers. One journalist said the MMA community was left scratching their heads over how such a scorecard could even exist. What happened next was unprecedented in UFC history. Howie Booth was removed from his judge's duties before the event even finished, a clear message about the severity of his mistake. This scorecard reignited long-standing frustrations about judging in MMA. Fans brought up other head-scratchers, like the Miranda Maverick vs. Macy Barber fight, where the stats told a completely different story than the judges' scorecards. As controversial as Booth's scorecard was, an even more puzzling decision was yet to come. Imagine dominating your opponent with 27 strikes, only to lose the round to someone who landed just 5. This next fight showcases exactly how broken MMA scoring can be. Picture this: you dominate your opponent, land way more strikes, and still lose the round? That sounds crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to Kai Kara-France in his fight against Amir Albazi, about to turn the MMA world upside down. Kara-France and Albazi, 2 top-tier flyweights, battled it out for a shot at the title. But what should have been a showcase of skill turned into a judging nightmare. Let's break it down. In the 4th round, Kara-France went wild. He landed 27 significant strikes to Albazi's 5, and stuffed 4 takedown attempts like it was nothing. The Kiwi was running the show, controlling the center and dictating the pace. By the end of the fight, the numbers told the story. Kara-France, 108 significant strikes with a 58% accuracy, to Albazi's 78 strikes with only a 42% accuracy. Seems like a clear win for Kara-France, right? Wrong. Judge Chris Lee somehow scored the 4th round for Albazi. It's like he was watching a different fight entirely. This one call flipped the entire result, and ended up with Kara-France losing by split decision. The MMA world exploded. Fighters, coaches, and fans were all saying the same thing. Kai Kara-France got robbed. It wasn't just about this one fight. It sparked a full-blown crisis in MMA judging. We're talking calls for reform, better training, the whole 9 yards. So what's the takeaway? In MMA, where fighters risk it all, one judge's weird math can change everything. It's about more than just wins and losses. It's about careers, title shots, and the heart of the sport. While the MMA community was still processing that decision, an even more consequential judging controversy emerged in a championship bout. What happened next would reignite the debate about MMA scoring at the highest level of the sport. The scoring controversy in the Valentina Shevchenko vs. Alexa Grasso rematch at UFC 295 exemplifies everything wrong with MMA judging. The decision that night sparked outrage from fighters, analysts, and even veteran officials. Shevchenko, the former champ, was on a mission to reclaim her title. For 4 rounds straight, she put on a show. The stats tell the story. Shevchenko landed 137 strikes to Grasso's 115. Scored 4 takedowns and racked up over 8 minutes of control time. She was dominating on the feet and on the ground. By the end of the fourth round, it looked like a clear win for Shevchenko. Fans were already celebrating the return of the champ. But hold up, because Judge Mike Bell was about to flip the script. Then came Bell's scorecard, a 10-8 round for Grasso in the fifth. For context, 10-8 rounds typically require one fighter to completely dominate their opponent. Grasso had done the opposite, spending much of the round being outstruck and controlled. This turned what should have been a clear Shevchenko victory into a split draw. And in title fights, a draw means the champ keeps the belt. Just like that, Shevchenko's dream of reclaiming her title evaporated. The MMA world lost its mind. Fans screamed robbery. Analysts were baffled. Even casual viewers wondered if Bell was watching the same fight as everyone else. The outcry forced a serious examination of MMA's scoring criteria. And get this, Bell's got a history of controversial decisions, including the Sean O'Malley vs. Petr Yan fight. It's like he's got a personal vendetta against common sense. While the MMA world was still processing the Grasso-Shevchenko controversy, an even more startling decision was about to unfold, one that would lead to unprecedented calls for judicial review. However, few fights better illustrate the crisis in MMA judging than the Sandhagen-Vera clash at UFC Fight Night San Antonio, where questionable scoring nearly overshadowed an elite bantamweight showcase. Sandhagen was brilliant that night. He picked Vera apart with surgical precision, landing an incredible 193 strikes to Vera's 71. When he mixed in 3 flawless takedowns, it painted a clear picture of just how one-sided this fight truly was. The beating was so decisive that even Vera's own corner was desperately urging their fighter to pick up the pace as the rounds ticked by. 2 judges saw the fight exactly as everyone else did. One scored it a complete shutout at 50-45, while another had it at 49-46 for Sandhagen. Then came Judge Joel Ojeda's scorecard, 48-47 for Vera? Yes, you read that right. Somehow, he had watched the man land nearly triple the strikes, score 3 takedowns, and still thought he lost the fight. This isn't just about one bad scorecard, it's about a system that needs urgent reform. How can 3 professionals sitting cage-side watch the same fight and come to such wildly different conclusions? What kind of training are these judges receiving? And most importantly, what safeguards are in place to protect fighters from scoring disasters like this? Think about it. Fighters put their health on the line every time they step into that octagon. Their careers, their rankings, and championship aspirations all hang in the balance. Can we really accept a system where one judge's inexplicable scorecard could potentially derail years of hard work? The pattern of controversial decisions in MMA has evolved from occasional disagreements to a serious crisis. These scorecards aren't simply disappointing. They're disrupting the careers and directly impacting a fighter's ability to earn a living. With Dana White declaring the situation only getting worse in 2024, the time for change is clear. The solution requires a comprehensive overhaul. Standardized training programs, transparent scoring criteria, and clear accountability measures for judges whose decisions consistently defy logic and statistics. These reforms would protect fighters' livelihoods and restore faith in the sport's competitive integrity. The future of MMA depends on building a scoring system that fighters, fans, and promoters can trust. Share your thoughts on MMA's biggest scoring controversies in the comments below. Have you seen a decision worse than these? Subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories shaping the sport.